Welcome back, everybody. I would consider myself to be probably the opposite of what people might refer to as so-called vintage snobs. I have never been really interested in expending the energy for hunting down vintage vintage versions of perfumes that I've liked. So I am lucky enough to own several perfumes in their either current iterations or very recent versions of them. And look, to be honest, I don't consider that I would have such an advanced nose that I can tell really intricate nuances between something, you know, that's vintage and something that's new. I don't know how much aging affects anything, but generally speaking, I am very, very happy with the way modern versions of some classic perfumes actually smell. This is what brings me to this particular video, and the topic today is about when this can lead to heartbreak, and this example that I'm going to talk about today is one of the big reasons why I don't, why I avoid falling into vintage rabbit holes. So let me start by saying, probably a year or two ago, I was very generously sent a bunch of samples by a subscriber, friend, and one of those samples happened to be, I'm going to try and get this in focus straight away. This is a mini eau de toilette version of Magie Noire by Lancôme. So, back in focus. I have no idea from what year this was produced, other than all I know is that it's not a modern version. You can see that this miniature bottle is based on the older style bottles that look like this. And so when I recently decided to give it a proper test, I mean, it's a dabber version, I kind of immediately fell in love. Magie Noire is, as its name suggests, some kind of magic. I at probably more than any other cotton vintage perfume that I've smelled, suddenly thought, oh, I need to get my hands on more of this because that's all I have. But being the optimist that I am, and given my reasonably high satisfaction rate with modern versions of older classics, I know that Magie Noire is still being produced, and it comes in a bottle that looks like this at the moment. And I also know that there is a Lancôme counter at my local department store, which is literally an hour and a half ago I went to test out the new version. I got a spray on the back of my hand. They didn't have samples, but I just sprayed from the tester. And look, I would have been happy if it was, you know, if it had the characteristic. I wasn't expecting it to be the same as this little mini, but if it was like 80% similar, I would have been really happy. But on this occasion, I've been left a little bit heartbroken and sad because it's really nothing like what I'm smelling from this mini. This mini in the opening, without doing a full-blown review, it's just like so much richness and depth going on. I can smell the cassia, I can smell the galbanum, the ylang, the oak moss. There's a bit of honey in there. There's so much going on, like the beautiful chypre perfume that it is. With the modern version, this version right here, no. The funny thing is that as soon as I sprayed it on the back of my hand, without having that immediate comparison, I didn't have this bottle with me, without having that immediate comparison, I knew they were different. The thing is that I didn't hate what I was smelling on my hand, and it's not a bad perfume in of itself, but it's not this perfume. It is not this perfume. Magie Noire is a different perfume to my nose today than whatever they were making to put in this bottle. Strangely enough, even though I thought it smelled perfectly fine, after 5 minutes, you know, not in the opening, but after 5-10 minutes, I came back to smelling what was on my hand, and I was thinking, this reminds me of something. Maybe it is similar to the Magie Noire that I've got at home. And even now with this vintage miniature drying down, it's still nothing, they're nothing alike. But what the new one actually reminded me of was this Lagerfeld Classic. The new Magie Noire in the dry down is almost, I'd say, 70 to 80% Lagerfeld Classic. And given that this is a lot cheaper than what you can get, what you can get the current Magie Noire, there is no reason for me to get Lancome's Magie Noire in its current version. Now, I'm never going to be that guy who spends hundreds of dollars on vintages. As much as I love this, I'm going to enjoy my little few drops unless I find an absolute bargain somewhere and I can find the bottle. I'm just gonna appreciate the perfume. Perfume is a great reminder of the impermanence of things. Like, there are a lot of examples of this, but perfume really does. Just the fact that each wear doesn't last, each bottle is never gonna last. It's gonna come to an end at some point. On a wider level, you know, the older a perfume gets, the less likely it's going to be the same as what you remember it. Sometimes it is just memory. Other times it is really down to reformulations. I'm not a big reformulation conspiracy theorist and thinking that every time there's a change in labeling or packaging that it's been reformulated, but it obviously happens, and in this case it's such a tragedy that it's happened to Magie Noire. Let me know what you think. I know that I have a few people that watch this channel who love Magie Noire, know it very well, but to my novice amateur Magie Noire nose, current version and old version are nothing alike. Tell me, and also if you do have other examples of other perfumes where vintages or the current versions are shadows of their former selves. Like, a lot of people say that this is a lot different to the old one. I would argue not. I think they're close enough still to be really good, but obviously there are some where there is a wide gap in what you smell. Thank you for watching me cry a little bit and rant a little bit, but I thought it was an interesting thing to talk about. So I'll see you all in the next video. Bye for now.